This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Natalie Sideserf here, Sideserf Cake Studio, and I'm going to show you how I made a bag of peanuts cake. I'm sprinkling 2 gelatin packets into 6 tablespoons of water, and then I let it sit for 5 minutes and then microwave it until the gelatin is dissolved in the water. I want this gelatin to be super clear and absolutely bubble-free, so I'm scooping out the foam with a spoon. Then I add a super small bit of purple food color to help cut that yellow tone of the gelatin. Now I'm taping a sheet of acetate onto a pan rather than right onto my table so that I can pick it up. You definitely want to tape it down because if you don't, it's gonna ripple and curl as it dries. Now I'm pouring the gelatin right on top, nice and thin, and then I set it aside to dry. While we wait, let's make some edible peanut shells. Here are the chosen 5 nuts, and they range in size and shape because I like a little variety. Now I could hand sculpt a bag full of peanuts, or I can use food-safe molding putty and save myself hours and hours of time. So let's go with the molding putty. I press each nut into the putty, then I work it around the sides, and I let it set for 20 minutes. Then I just pluck the nut right out of the mold, and I clean out the debris, and now it's time to make the edible shells. Then I just press a chunk of modeling chocolate into the mold, and I let it firm up. If you're in a rush, like I always am when it comes to cake making, just place them in the freezer for a minute, and they'll pop right out. And there they are! They're perfect peanuts! I love them! Now I fill the mold back up, and I repeat until I have about 40 to 50 peanuts. And now on to the cake, because this is a cake after all. All right, so I'm stacking the cake with green buttercream between the layers, and then I cover the entire thing in a thin layer of buttercream. So this is kind of where stuff hits the fan. My brain is thinking about, how the whole process of this cake is going to be, and I decide to switch things up a bit. So initially I thought that a standing bag full of peanuts wrapped in plastic and then tied with a ribbon is what I want to make. But this would be more of a homemade party favor feel. Then I get a vision of a bag of peanuts that hangs from a hook at your local convenience store. So I pick the cake up, I lay it on its side, and then I carve the cake laying down and more flat. I feel like people are more familiar with this style of packaging. And then I re-crumb coat the cake in a thin layer of buttercream. Now I'm grabbing a soft bristled brush, and it's back to the chocolate peanuts. Before we move on, I just want to take a moment to tell you about this video's sponsor, Squarespace. I'm a cake decorator, not a web designer, so that's why I love Squarespace. Squarespace makes it easy to create beautiful websites quickly and easily, so people like me can spend less time learning to code and more time doing what we love. Templates make it super easy to get the look you want, and the Squarespace members area provides ways for your website to earn more revenue. Squarespace can also help collect donations using popular payment processors like PayPal, Venmo, and Stripe. To get started, head to squarespace.com right now for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/sideserf to save 10% on your first purchase of a website or a domain. To paint them, I'm using powdered food color diluted with alcohol. I've got different colors so that I can make a variety of brown tones. Basically, if I use one color brown, the nuts look kind of flat. But if I introduce some different tones like yellows and oranges, it really adds depth. And these colors are all seen in the real peanut shells, if you look really close. Now I'm rolling out modeling chocolate and using it to cover the cake. Most of this is going to be covered by peanuts, so I don't spend too much time making it perfect. I just pick the cake up, I wrap the chocolate around the sides, and I move on. Now I'm taking one of the real peanuts and I'm rolling it on the chocolate to add texture. Some of this chocolate may be seen, so I want it to look like there's peanut texture in there rather than just a smooth chocolate texture. This is actually really fun. Just rolling them on there. Now I paint the entire cake the same color as the peanuts. Then I place my chocolate peanuts onto the cake in all different directions. I want them to look like they're clustered. The gelatin is finally dry. I let it set overnight. So now all I do is I peel it off the acetate and it comes off so easily. Then I just take some scissors and I trim up the edges. This stuff is the best. It looks just like plastic. So I place the edible plastic onto a cake board and I place my chocolate peanut covered cake right on top. Then I fold the plastic over top and I wet the edges with a little bit of water, and then I press the bottom and top edible plastic together, and that creates a seal. Just a little water does the trick. And once it's dry, I trim away the plastic so that everything looks nice and even and clean. To create the paper tab at the top of the bag, I roll out modeling chocolate pretty thin, and then I trim it down and I cut it to look like there's a little hook tab in the center. Then I place it on the top of the bag and I secure it by folding down the sides. For a little fun, I'm painting a vertical red striped pattern. Because why not? Let's jazz it up a bit. It kind of gives a circus feel. I'm into it. And there you have it, a cake of peanuts in plastic packaging. Like what? This is so cool. I have no clue how this edible plastic's gonna cut, so let's cut the cake. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for a new cake every week. If you'd like to support this channel and myself, you can head over to subscribestar.com/sideserfcakes and become a member.